Wow, okay. So Dune, Prophecy. um, I mean, we knew this show was set 10,000 years before Paul Atreides,
Right.
but did anyone predict that it would start out quite like that?
It really sets the tone, doesn't it?
Poor Pruitt-Rachis.
Right from the beginning. It's clear this isn't going to be your typical happily ever after story.
They never knew what was coming.
Not at all. There's dangerous stuff going on, and the writers let you know right away that no one is safe.
And the way Desmond Hart just used his mind, it seems like, to take out Pruitt and the Reverend Mother. Talk about a power move. Makes you wonder what else he's capable of doing and what his real motives are.
We do get a few clues in this episode. Remember when he's talking to Pruitt just before, where everything is so wrong? He talks about a war, a secret war, going on right in front of everyone. He even says, to win a war, you have to make sacrifices. Pretty scary stuff.
It's chilling. It really makes you think, who exactly is he going up against? Is it the Sisterhood, the Imperium?
Yeah.
Or is it something else entirely? Who are these people who are doing everybody's thinking for him? It's like he's suggesting there's this giant conspiracy controlling everything behind the scenes.
Yeah. That feeling of paranoia.
Yeah.
Of not knowing who to trust is a big theme running through the episode. It reminds me of what happened after the Butlerian Jihad, that war against the thinking machines.
Right.
Humanity is still really traumatized by that whole conflict, and it's made them really wary of anything that even looks a little like AI.
Totally. You see it in how they react to those little thinking machine toys.
Yeah.
Not the ones that Pruitt and the Emperor have. I mean, they seem harmless enough.
Yeah.
Maybe a little creepy. But you can sense this fear underneath, this worry that these toys, which seem innocent, might be the first step back to the days when machines ruled everything.
Yeah. And Desmond Hart seems to be using that fear. He's like this ghost from the past, a reminder of what can happen when technology gets out of control, what he does, what he says. They all feed into that shared trauma, that deep down anxiety about the thinking machines coming back.
Let's talk about Velia Harkonnen, the Mother Superior. Her story is so interesting, especially when you think about her family history. We find out that they were basically cast out, accused of abandoning the Butlerian Jihad. But she thinks that House Atreides was behind those accusations, that they made up the evidence to discredit her family.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that really changes things, doesn't it? It adds a new dimension to her motivation. She's not just driven by ambition or a lust for power. She's fueled by this deep need for revenge. She wants to get her family's honor back, and she's willing to wait it out, to play the long game, to do it.
You can see it in how she deals with the other characters. Like when her own family, House Harkonnen, asks for a truth seer, she just shuts them down flat. It's like she's saying, you guys aren't part of my plan. I'm aiming for something much bigger.
Yeah, and that bigger goal involves Princess Wynez, the Emperor's daughter. The Sisterhood has been training her for 10 years, making her into the perfect tool. The idea was to marry her to Pruitt-Rachis, giving them direct access to the Imperial throne. But now, well, everything's different.
Sending the princess off for 10 years.
Yeah.
To train with the Bene Gesserit. It's a little creepy, isn't it? I mean, what are they really teaching her? They talk about guidance and wisdom, but we know they're experts at manipulation and control.
Exactly. Remember that chilling line from Tula Harkonnen, Valya's sister, during that truth-sayer training scene? The best weapon humanity has is the lie. That tells you a lot about their methods and how they see the world. They think truth is flexible, that you can bend and shape it to fit what they want.
Okay, that line gave me chills. It makes you wonder, what kind of ruler is Wynez going to become under their influence? Will she be a puppet for the Sisterhood? Or will she find her own way and make her own path?
That's the big question, isn't it? And with Desmond Hart messing up their plans, things are going to get even more complicated.
Yes.
What he does, his mysterious warnings, they're like a virus, disrupting the order the Sisterhood so carefully built.
And speaking of reactions, can we talk about the Emperor for a minute? This guy is dealing with so much unrest on Arrakis, challenges from ambitious houses like Ruchesi, and now this whole thing with Pruitt's death. The poor guy is under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that his hold on power seems kind of shaky. You can see it in the way he interacts with Baron Harkonnen, who's trying to slither his way back into the Emperor's good graces with that whole whale sperm business.
Oh gosh, that was so awkward. You could almost see the Emperor cringing inside. It was like watching some used car salesman trying to unload a lemon.
Yeah, but it does show how desperate House Harkonnen is to get back their lost status. They'll use anything, even something as weird as whale sperm, to claw their way back to the top.
It makes you wonder, what else are they up to? And how are they going to fit into this bigger power struggle that's brewing? I mean, let's face it, with the Sisterhood pulling the strings, the Emperor on edge, and houses like Harkonnen making their moves, things are about to blow up.
Yeah, it's like a game of galactic chess, with each player making their moves, trying to outsmart the others, and stuck in the middle of it all is Princess Yanez, a young woman with her own wants and dreams, who might become the most important player on the board.
And we can't forget about that simmering romance between Yanez and curated.
Yeah.
That handsome swordsman who works for the Emperor. It's clear they have feelings for each other.
Yeah.
But they can't be together, especially with what the Sisterhood has planned for Yanez.
It definitely adds more mystery to the story. Will Yanez choose love over duty? Will their secret romance turn into something that could shift the balance of power? Or will it just be another sad chapter in the history of House Atreides?
And with the way things are going, I have a feeling there's going to be plenty of tragedy to go around. But you know what else really got my attention in this episode?
What's that?
All the fire and burning imagery. It's not just the deaths. It's everywhere. The Mother Superior's vision, the spice fields burning, even the way the sandworms burst out of the sand. It's like this repeating theme of things being destroyed and things transforming.
You're right. It's almost like the show is telling us that something huge is about to go up in flames. Something fundamental is going to change. And the question is, who will be left standing when the fire dies down?
Now that is a thought to ponder.
And you know what else I found really interesting?
What's
the way the show plays with the idea of prophecy. We see Kasha, the Emperor's truthsayer, having this prophetic dream, full of blood, sand, and this really disturbing image of Princess Yanez being swallowed up by something evil.
This dream was intense. It definitely hints at some dark stuff coming up. But is it a set path, or is there still some way to change what's going to happen?
Well, that's the great thing about Dune, isn't it? The idea that even in a world shaped by prophecy, people still have free will. They can make choices.
Yeah.
That can change their destiny.
It's going to be fascinating to see how all these different stories unfold. This point episode has set the stage for what looks like an epic and totally unpredictable journey.
I totally agree. I am hooked, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Same here. And you know what? I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even touched on some of the other mysteries hinted at in this episode.
Like what? Tell me.
Remember that scene where Desmond Hart gets swallowed by a sandworm? But then later, he just shows up. Totally fine. How's that even possible?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
the sandworms are supposed to be these monstrous creatures, basically invincible. Just surviving an encounter with one is a miracle, let alone coming out of it with what seems like even more power. It doesn't make sense.
It's like he has some sort of link to the worms, a deeper understanding of them that we're only just starting to get a glimpse of.
Or maybe he's tapping into something totally different, some ancient force that we haven't even thought about yet.
Ooh, good one. And there's so much more to unpack. The Sisterhood's breeding program, the Emperor's political battles, the secrets of Arrakis itself. I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
Absolutely. This episode has opened up so many possibilities, and I'm eager to dive deeper into them.
We'll definitely have to pick up where we left off in part 2.
Thinking about those sandworms makes me think about something else. Spice. It's the most valuable thing in the universe, right? And controlling Arrakis means you control the spice trade. This episode sort of hints at the implications of spice, the economic and political ones, I mean. Spice isn't just a resource, it's a source of power, the key to traveling between stars. And it's crucial for the lives of so many people all across the Imperium.
That's so true. Remember that scene where the Emperor's talking about the spice shortage?
Yeah.
He's obviously worried about the problems it's causing. You could just feel the tension. It's like everybody's on edge, waiting for the next crisis to happen.
Yeah. And we see glimpses of that crisis happening in this episode, with the Emperor facing those challenges on Arrakis, and other houses like Gesserit, trying to get their piece of the spice trade. It sets the stage for the future fight over Arrakis, and it makes you wonder, how did this once thriving planet become the harsh, unforgiving desert we see in the movies?
That's a great point. It's almost as if the show is giving us a look into the past, showing us how the seeds of this conflict were planted, and then with Desmond Hart causing all this chaos, it's like he's speeding that process up, pushing Arrakis towards its unavoidable fate.
Speaking of chaos, let's talk about what the Sisterhood is doing. They're using their influence in subtle but powerful ways. They're placing truthsayers in all these important positions, manipulating things from the shadows, and basically controlling the Imperium.
Yeah, They're playing 4D chess.
Yeah.
Always thinking several moves ahead. And they're not afraid to get their hands dirty either, right?
Yeah.
Remember how they basically orchestrated Pruitt's death? They knew he was unstable. They knew Desmond Hart was dangerous. But they still let things play out the way they wanted.
It's a risky strategy for sure, but it also shows how confident they are in their own skills. They believe they can manage everything, that they can manipulate people and events to get what they want. But as we've seen, even the best plans can go wrong, and the results can be disastrous.
It's like they're playing with fire.
Yeah.
And they might just end up getting burned. And speaking of playing with fire, what did you think about that scene with the burning spice fields? Visually, it was amazing, but it also felt symbolic. Like it represented the destructive potential of spice itself.
Oh, totally. It's like the show is reminding us that this valuable resource, this key to space travel and human evolution, also has a dark side. It can cause conflict, greed, and ultimately destruction. It's a powerful reminder of how power works, how something so important can also be so dangerous.
And we can't forget that scene where Desmond Hart is teaching those kids how to control the sandworms. That was such a fascinating moment. It shows us a different side of him, a gentler, more nurturing side.
It's true. It makes you wonder about his motivations even more. Is he really a bad guy? Or is he just trying to protect something that's even more important than the Sisterhood's plans? Maybe he sees himself as a protector of Arrakis, a defender of its ancient secrets.
Yeah. And the way he talks about the sandworms with so much respect and awe, like he has the spiritual connection to them, almost like he sees them as gods, or at least beings that deserve to be worshipped.
Right. And that connection to Arrakis, to the sandworms, to the spice, is what makes him different from the other characters. He's not driven by power or ambition. He's driven by something deeper, something more fundamental. He gets the rhythm of the desert, the flow of energy, the secrets hidden under the sand.
He's like a force of nature himself, unpredictable, uncontrollable, and ultimately unstoppable. And with the Sisterhood trying to impose their order on this chaotic world, it seems inevitable that they're going to clash.
It's like that classic battle between order and chaos, between the forces of control and the forces of freedom. It'll be interesting to see who wins in the end.
You know, something that's been bugging me is this. If Desmond Hart is so powerful, why is he even bothering with these small attacks? Why not just go straight for the top and take out the Emperor or the Mother Superior?
That's a great question. Maybe he's playing a longer game, manipulating things from behind the scenes, just like the Sisterhood. Or maybe he has a moral code that stops him from using his full power.
Oh, interesting. Like he's holding back, trying to avoid unnecessary violence. Maybe he sees himself as a teacher, a guide, someone trying to nudge humanity in a different direction, even if it means taking extreme measures.
That's a fascinating idea. It makes you wonder what his ultimate goal is. Is he trying to destroy the Sisterhood, overthrow the Imperium, or create something completely new?
And can we talk about how visually stunning this episode was? I mean, the special effects, the costumes, the sets, it's all so breathtaking. They've really captured the grandeur and the scale of Dune.
Absolutely. The way they brought Arrakis to life is amazing. You can almost feel the heat, the sand, the wind, and the sandworms. Wow. They're truly awe-inspiring. You can't help but feel a sense of wonder and fear when you see them on screen.
I know. And the Sisterhood's headquarters on Wallach Nyax, that was amazing. It's so sleek and modern. Those smooth lines and all those pools of water everywhere. It's like this futuristic oasis in the middle of a barren wasteland.
It's a great visual representation of their power, their detachment from the harsh reality of Arrakis. They're literally living in a world they created, a world where they can control everything. But as we've seen, even the most carefully designed environments can be broken into, and the results can be chaotic.
And the costumes. I love how they incorporated elements of Fremen culture into the Sisterhood's clothes. It's like a subtle nod to their connection to Arrakis, to the ancient wisdom they're trying to harness.
That's a nice touch. It adds another layer to their complex relationship with the planet and its people. They're outsiders, but they're also deeply tied to the fate of Arrakis.
And we can't forget about the music. The score in this episode is fantastic. It perfectly captures the mood and the atmosphere of each scene, adding to the tension, the mystery, the grandeur of it all.
The music is definitely an unsung hero in this episode. It makes each moment more powerful, drawing you deeper into the story.
So as we're wrapping up part 2, what are your biggest takeaways so far? What are you hoping to see in the next episode?
I'm really curious about Desmond Hart's motives. Is he truly bad, or is he playing a more complicated game? And I'm also eager to see how the Sisterhood responds to his attacks. Will they try to control things even more? Or will they start to question their own methods?
Those are great questions. And I'm curious to see how the Emperor's political struggles play out. Will he be able to hold on to power? Or will his enemies overthrow him?
And let's not forget about that simmering romance between Princess Inez and Kieran Atreides. That could really shake things up. I really want to see how that story develops.
It's going to be wild, that's for sure. We've got political maneuvering, forbidden romance, mysterious prophecies, and a guy who can seemingly control sandworms with his mind.
It's all there. It's a recipe for an epic conclusion. I can't wait to see it.
This whole idea of the burning truth keeps coming back to me.
Yeah.
It's not just some metaphor. It's a real thing that's happening in this show, people bursting into flames right and left. It's definitely made me think.
I know, right? It's like the truth is this powerful, dangerous force that actually destroys people who encounter it. It's such a fascinating idea, and it really makes you wonder, what truth are they so scared of?
Right. What are they trying to hide?
Yeah.
And who's deciding what the story is?
Yeah.
It's obvious that someone is manipulating things.
Yeah.
But who is it?
Well, the Sisterhood has to be the main suspect, right? They're experts at manipulating and controlling people, and they have a lot to gain by keeping certain truths secret. Remember what Tula Harkonnen said?
Yeah.
Humanity's greatest weapon is the lie. That statement says a lot.
Oh, yeah, it does. It makes you think about this whole idea of prophecy. Is it fixed? Or can it be changed? Can you even defy it? Is this sisterhood really shaping the future?
Right.
Or are they just pawns in a plan that's already been set?
Right. And then there's Desmond Hart. He seems to be fighting against the Sisterhood's version of the truth. But what is his truth? What does he believe?
Yeah.
And what is he willing to give up to reach his goals?
Ooh. Those are really good questions. It's like he's this wild card, this unpredictable factor in their carefully planned game. And with his power.
Yeah.
To literally burn people with his mind.
Oh.
Oh, I wouldn't want to make him angry.
Yeah. He's definitely not someone you want to mess with. But I'm also curious about the Emperor. He seems trapped in the middle of all this, trying to hold on to his power while the world is literally burning down around him.
Right. And he has his own secrets, too. Remember that scene where he's talking to his truthsayer, Kasha, about his dreams?
Yeah.
It's clear he's being haunted by something, something that's really bothering him.
It makes you wonder if he's really capable of ruling. Does he have the strength, the wisdom, to lead the Imperium through these chaotic times? Or will he collapse under the pressure?
And with his daughter, Princess Inez, caught in the middle of this fight between the Sisterhood and Desmond Hart. Well, let's just say the Emperor has a lot to be concerned about.
Right. Speaking of Inez, what did you think about her relationship with Kieran Atreides? Those two have some serious sparks.
I know. It's so forbidden.
Yeah.
So romantic. But with the Sisterhood's plans for Jonas and all the dangers surrounding them, it feels like their love is doomed from the very start.
It's like Romeo and Juliet, set in a vast galactic empire. You know it's not going to end well, but you can't help but hope they find a way.
I know, exactly. And you got to admire their courage, their willingness to defy everyone and follow their hearts. It's such a refreshing change from all the scheming and manipulation going on around them.
It really is. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, there's still hope, beauty.
You know, one thing that really impressed me about this episode was the world building. The writers have done an incredible job of expanding the Dune universe, giving us a deeper look into the history, the culture, the politics of this amazing world.
Oh, totally. We get to see Arrakis in a whole new way. 1,000 years before the events of the original Dune story. It's not that desolate wasteland we're used to. It's still a world full of resources, a complex ecosystem, a rich and diverse culture.
Right. And the way they've woven in elements of Fremen culture.
Yeah.
Their beliefs, their customs, their connection to the Sandworms. It's all so fascinating.
Yeah. It's like they're showing us where the Fremen came from, how they became the strong and resilient people we know and love.
And let's not forget about all the political intrigue, the power struggles between the Emperor, the Sisterhood, and all the noble houses. It's like a Shakespearean play on a galactic scale.
Yeah. There's so many layers to this story, so many different groups fighting for power, so many secrets and betrayals. You can never be sure who to trust, who's using who, what's really happening behind the scenes.
It keeps you guessing the whole time. And with all the twists and turns, the sharking revelations, the cliffhanger ending, it's clear that the writers have just begun. I can't wait to see where they take us next.
Me too. This episode has set the stage for a huge saga, a story that could be just as big and ambitious as the original Dune.
And with so many mysteries still unsolved, so many questions still unanswered, I have a feeling this is going to be an amazing ride.
I agree. What did you think about that last scene with Valia Harkonnen? She seems to understand what's going on much better than anyone else.
Oh, yeah. When she whispers, "I see, Mother, I see." It's like this light bulb goes off in her head. She's putting the pieces together, connecting the dots. And I think she's about to do something big.
Yeah, it's like she's welcoming the chaos, seeing it as a chance to get what she wants. And with her desire for revenge, her ambition for her family, and her sharp mind, she's definitely a character to keep an eye on.
And let's not forget the other big reveal, Desmond Hart's connection to the Fremen. Did you catch that?
Oh, yeah. When he tells those kids, we are the hidden ones, it's clear he's not just some random guy causing trouble. He's part of something much bigger. A movement that's been working in secret for centuries.
It makes you think about how far their influence reaches.
Yeah.
And what their real goals are. Are they trying to protect Arrakis? Overthrow the Imperium? Or do they have something completely different in mind?
And with Desmond Hart as their leader, the Sisterhood and the Imperium better watch out.
Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into the premiere of Dune, Prophecy, what are your final thoughts?
I'm honestly blown away by how big and ambitious this show is. It's clear the writers aren't scared to take risks, to push the boundaries of the Dune universe, to explore new themes and ideas.
Yeah, and they've got this amazing cast, a talented team of writers and directors, and they didn't hold back on the special effects and the set design. This is a show that's been made with a lot of passion and attention to detail, and it shows.
I totally agree. I can't wait to see where they take us next. And I have a feeling we're just starting to uncover the mysteries and the wonders of this incredible world.
Very well said. And if you're as hooked on Dune, Prophecies we are, make sure to subscribe to our show and leave a comment below. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into episode 2. We want to hear your thoughts and theories. Until then, keep exploring the universe. And remember, the spice must flow.